Jesus, he had a lot of mercy on people. And the Bible talks a lot about Jesus, his emotional life. But the emotion that's mentioned more than any other is the emotion, the gift of mercy, compassion. The first serving gift is the gift of mercy. Mercy. And here is what mercy is. Mercy is the capacity to feel and express unusual compassion, empathy, sympathy for those who are in difficult or crisis situations, and provide them with the necessary help and support to see them through tough times. People with the gift of mercy and people who are hurting, struggling, broken, and overwhelmed, they often find one another so that loneliness can be reduced. A hurt can be healed, and a person at the end of their ropes get a knot to hang on to. Now take a look at Romans 12:8. It says, if your gift is to encourage others, be what? Be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you the leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness or mercy to others, do it gladly. Now, would you agree that we all go through seasons of life where you feel like, man, I'm not sure how I'm going to get out of this season. It just seems like maybe things at work are not going the way that you want, or things in your home is a challenging situation. And you just feel overwhelmed, and you feel exhausted, and you feel frustrated. And what happens is most of the time, if you are sharing what's going on in your life, some people they just kind of walk away. They ask you, hey, how are you doing? You're like, I'm doing terrible. And they kind of walk away like, well, best of luck with that, right? So has that ever happened to you before? Is that the gift of mercy? Not at all, right? See, the person with the gift of mercy is like, are you having a bad day? How can I help? I'm here to serve you. What is it there what can I do to pray with you, okay? And they approach you when people are walking away from you because they want to give you things they don't have for yourself. I mean, if you look at Jesus, if you look at his life, if you look at his ministry, Jesus taught so much about mercy. I mean, look at the story of the Good Samaritan. In Luke chapter 10, you'll read about one of the greatest, most famous stories in the history of the world. And again, that's the parable of the Good Samaritan. I mean, there's a Jewish guy. He was walking, he was attacked, and he was hurting. And everybody's walking by him. But one guy stops by and says, I am here to help. That is what we call the gift of mercy. Look at Luke 10. Then the despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt what? What did he feel? He felt compassion. He felt mercy for him. So going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. And then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. So thousands of years later, we are still talking about this story. And even non-Christians all over the globe will refer to mercy as being an example of a good Samaritan. And again, Jesus, he had a lot of mercy on people. And the Bible talks a lot about Jesus, his emotional life. But the emotion that's mentioned more than any other is the emotion, the gift of mercy, compassion. And if you know Jesus, there's going to be a lot of days when we really need his compassion. Because church, can you agree? Have we all made mistakes? Have we all messed up? Hey, I'm the first one to raise my hand. We've all made mistakes. We've all messed up. And every day I need his compassion. I need his mercy. And Jesus, he comes to us. He says, I have mercy. I have compassion. I forgive you. And this is why we love Jesus so much. We love Jesus because he sacrificed his own life for us, the ultimate example of compassion and mercy. And Jesus, he was very compassionate towards women and children in his day, where religious leaders, they tended to avoid women and children, but Jesus had a lot of compassion on women and children. Now also too, Jesus, he would practice the ministry of presence. You can't have mercy and you can't show compassion unless if you are present in somebody else's life. There's times where you can't fix it, and as men, sometimes us men, we're not good at this, because if your wife is going through a tough time, a lot of times it's our human nature as men, as husbands, we want to go in and we want to fix that problem, but sometimes your spouse would say, I just want you to listen. You don't have to fix it, just listen to me. And there's times we can't fix it, you can't do anything, and there's times you can't explain it, But the thing is, sometimes just being present is all somebody else needs. And so Jesus, he's often present. He sits with people. He meets with people. He's available to people. And that's part of mercy. And that's a big part of mercy, is we practice the ministry of presence.